Good morning, good afternoon, whatever time it is. Andrea Gribble here, and I'm so excited. We are talking about Twitter 101 for teachers. So Twitter can be really transformational in regards to a teacher's life. Obviously, using it for your school, that's what Social School for EDU is all about, is building social media for your school's presence. But the more teachers that you have on Twitter, the better, because they're all helping tell your story. So again, there's the chat bar up above. If you can tweet in your handle, it'll be great for us to kind of help follow each other. But we're just going to jump in and get started because we're going to talk about a lot of stuff today. All the slides and a recording of today's presentation are going to be emailed to you. If we go over any resources, we'll make sure that that also comes in the email to you. So we like to make it easy for you to grab all the information and kind of easy access, just a click away. So we will get that all to you. With that said, I am kind of a note taker, so feel free to take notes if you want, but we will be sending this stuff through to you. Follow us at Kay Henriksen is our speaker today, at Andrea Gribble. You can use the hashtag Social School for EDU. If you're on Twitter right now, we'd love, even if you're watching this recorded, to tweet out that you're watching this because we want other people to know great free professional development delivered right to your desk. If you've got a great sandwich, you can share with Kay and I because we would love that. As we get started, you're in the right place if this picture that I graciously stole from Daniel Dos Santos, I have to give him credit, is if you kind of feel like a little bit like, oh my gosh, this is so overwhelming. Like I wanted to have easy resources, but Twitter, it's just too overwhelming. Twitter chats and handles and hashtags and all this stuff. Well, you have come to the right place because Kay's going to break it down for you. Specifically for teachers, specifically for educators. And so buckle up because you're going to get some great information. And I think it can literally transform your life. I'm your host, Andrea Gribble. And so I'm a mom of 6. I love social media because I can stay connected to my kids. But I run a company called Social School for EDU. We work with actually 55 schools across the country. We help schools create awesome social media. I see a lot of schools that think they're doing social media well, and I'm sorry, but they're not. And so we want to help make it awesome. Just a little flip back in time, because again, I did share that today is, not only is it my birthday, it's my 40th birthday. So it's like a big time deal, right? Can't believe it. But you keep living and you're going to keep getting older, right? So 4 years ago, I got the opportunity to help my little small town of New Auburn. People say they're from a small town. I graduated with 32 people, guys, 32 people, and that was a big class. This is all 7 streets in New Auburn, okay? Schools on one side, a big sand plant on the other. This is our town, 584 people. This is what our website looks like when we got started 4 years ago. Oh, not 18 years ago? No, this was only 4 years ago. This is what our website looked like. No drop-down menus, right? A hodgepodge of links. We knew we needed to do better to communicate. And we didn't tackle the website right away. We did get a new one now. But we started telling our story on social media. We developed a hashtag. We added Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. And we started telling the world all the awesome things that happen in this small little community. We know it's a competitive world. There's open enrollment and school choice and all these things. We need to be kind of tooting our own horn, so to speak, with the band there, and telling all the great things that are going on. We built it from 0, and now we're actually up over 1,300 fans. This was data from last summer. Up over 1,300 fans on Facebook. And what's really cool is we are a population of only 584 people, but yet last fall we used to be reaching about 8,400 on Facebook. Mr. Zuckerberg made some changes to our Facebook newsfeed algorithm, and now we're reaching about 4,400 a week. That's still a huge number, right? 584 people every week with Facebook. We're also using Twitter. We're using these other channels, but social media is powerful. Another thing that this just notes is, hey, if you manage your Facebook for your school and you've seen about a 50% drop, totally matches with what we're seeing. So that's just a little background. That's where I got started, and then obviously we've gone on to help a lot of schools. Our mission's simple. We celebrate students, and we connect the community to all the great things going on. Social media is about celebrating your school one story at a time, one moment, one little video, one photo. That's what social media is about, and it's about doing it consistently. Social School for EDU offers a ton of free resources. Our blog, we do this free monthly webinar, which next month, by the way, we're doing one on employee retention and attraction of like using social media to attract employees. We work with a lot of rural schools, and we know how competitive it is out there, and so you'll want to make sure to sign up for that one. We do some Facebook posts, and then of course we have a business, so we do management for schools. We coach schools on using social media. We do graphics. And at the end of today's webinar, I'm going to share a little more information on our annual summer camp event, which is happening June 26th and June 27th. Value packed, and I'll share some more information on that later. We work with really schools nationwide. With our management, we're in 4 different states, but we can help schools all over. And really all about, we know schools are busy. We just are focused on telling our story. I work with a team of awesome women, many stay-at-home moms, a lot of former educators that help team up with these schools. And so we bring all of what we've learned, to the schools we serve and to you. So let's get on to Twitter 101 for teachers. Kay. So I met Kay quite a few years ago. She is the digital learning director with the CESA group, some of our cooperative education agencies, and she can probably explain it better. But Kay, the unique thing about Kay is she is passionate about technology, and she does a really great job of teaching it because she's 28 years, over 28 years as an educator, all grade levels. And Lord knows when she teaches me, it's like, hey, are you in 4th grade? I got a 4th grader. She's an early technology adopter, very much an advocate of its power to engage school and community, which is important because some people look at technology in different ways. Well, how can we use it to really engage school, community, make learning fun? And she is a self-proclaimed Twitterholic. So without further ado, we're going to see if I can pass over the presenter role to her. It might take just a second. And I may, oops. It said you declined it, Kay, so I'm going to try again. Keep saying you're declining. Let me, okay, now it's working, I think. Hold on, everybody.
Is it being, can you see it now?
Yeah, we can see it, and we can all that.
Awesome. Hello, everyone. Oh, my goodness. Andrea knows how to build a girl up, and she also knows how to build your schools up as well. I had the privilege, as Andrea said, we met serendipitously, if that's a word, years ago, and it has been just a joy to watch Andrea and Social School for EDU and its journey, and just ramping it up across the United States. So I thank you for having me. Yes, I am a self-proclaimed Twitterholic, and I will tell you right now that if you're not using Twitter, that's okay. Because if you're not, chances are you may be, if you're like me, you've probably signed up for a Twitter account, and it was probably at one of these really awesome learning opportunities, and probably set it aside. I'm totally going to use this, and still the profile is your egg. And that's okay. That's okay. You have a Twitter account. If you don't, we're going to kind of show you where you can go to get started. But we are here to guide you through this whole process, through the Twitter landscape. And as Twitterholics call it, we hang out in the Twitterverse. We really do. And I'll show you one of the biggest things that I anything about technology. Technology is great, and as Andrea and I found out when we were trying to set up this webinar, that sometimes tech doesn't work the way you want it to right away. So you just have to like keep calm and click on. But I'm a big proponent of tech for the sake of purposeful and meaningful connection, and so that's why I'm here, because Twitter isn't just a thing. It's just not a social media platform. It's much more than that. So Twitter is, I'm just going to open up my page here and take you straight to what Twitter is. It's a social media platform. It began in, I believe, March of 2006. And what it does is, when you have an account, it looks like this. You can put on a pretty now I'm going to lose my train of thought. Thank you, a cover image. I'm like, no, it's not a footer, Kay. It's a cover image. This is a view from where I like to spend most of my time, which is in the middle of the lake somewhere in the Great North Woods. And ironically, it's not too far from population New Auburn. So you'll have a profile picture. You definitely do not want to be the egg. You get a profile picture, one that exemplifies you, and that people can connect straight to you when they see you. But just to navigate around what a Twitter page looks like, you've got these notifications up here. And notifications they're at the top of the page, and it tells you what's happening with your account. You'll be notified every time you get new followers, and that's very exciting, especially when you start out and you start following people. What happens, especially in the landscape of education, people follow you back. So that's awesome, and right there, you're just building your PLN, as I call it, your professional learning community. You also get notified when someone mentions your name, and a mention is that @ symbol before your name. If they are mentioning like, hey, I'm with @Andrea Gribble and @Kay Hendrickson on this Twitter 101 webinar, then we get notified that somebody is mentioning us. So those are nice to have.
Click on it right now, because Ken Cook APR mentioned us.
There we go.
So
thank you, Ken. Yeah, see, that happens, and then you also get the notifications when somebody also maybe retweets something that you have originally tweeted, and that's also very gratifying, because it's like, hey, I said something that somebody else found value in. So that's one of the great things. The messages are direct messages that are between you. Look, Andrea Gribble and I were direct messaging. They are between you and the person receiving the direct message. They are nowhere on your feed. They are nowhere for anyone else to see. But basically, it's just a private conversation where you might get for DM me your email address. Well, that might not be something that you want to share with the Twitterverse. So then you just have a direct message or a private conversation. Moments, that's a fairly new thing. It used to be Discover, and what it does, and I'm sure there'll be something, see, not all the moments are awesome. And that's why I'm reticent to click on it, but it tells you what's kind of hot and happening out in the Twitterverse. But when you click on your home page, you see awesome things like this right here is happening right down the street from, it's one of the schools I serve. They've got spelling bee winners, and this is your feed. So anyone that you follow, when they tweet things out, you can see them. You'll also see how many tweets you have sent out, and this is proof that I may or may not have a problem with Twitter. It's just a great learning platform for me. And then, this is where you collect the followers, and this tells you who you're following. The trends will give you the hashtags of what is hot and happening in the Twitterverse. And while we're on the topic of hashtags, I'm sure you've seen them. They are basically, they're words or phrases, and there are no spaces. I'll go up in the search button just to show you some of the searches that I've done before. I know that if you've gone to an educational conference, they have a hashtag to follow. If you have a television show that you're particularly fond of, and I'm thinking of Voice Save. Full disclosure, I'm kind of a voice junkie too. And you might see those hashtags on the bottom of the screen. Well, what that does is they explain a little bit about the tweet, or they add to the meaning of a tweet. And in education, oh my goodness, we have so many, and we'll go through, we'll give you access to some of those educational hashtags, because not all of us teach the same thing or the same grade level of kiddos. So some of them, like Ed Tech or STEM or LM Lit, like for elementary literature, those are some of the hashtags, but these are also hashtags that are conference related. So it allows you to follow a conversation. It allows you to be part of a Twitter chat. And the beauty of all of this is that you can do this on your own time, in your PJs if you really want to, and yet you're learning and you're taking notes and you're getting all kinds of resources from other people from all over the country, and that's the beauty of it. That is completely, it's a good way to get yourself and your tweets into a larger conversation.
Kay, can you type in hashtag school PR for me? One that I use a lot because, you know, school PR is a lot more than just social media. There's top post, and then she's going to go to latest. And, you know, anybody using that hashtag is showing up. So I did that with our hashtag 6 minutes ago. But people from all over the country that are talking about school PR are using that hashtag, and I can see what's going on.
That is, you're absolutely right. What it does is it connects you. It's basically just a descriptor that connects you to that particular conversation. And in this case, it's school PR. In one of the other, I'll just show you one of the other ones, this Slate in Wisconsin. It's a conference, and it was one that because of scheduling, I couldn't go to, but I really wanted to go to. And here I could attend. I could actually attend by putting in the hashtag, scrolling down, looking at what some of the conversation was, and you'll see they share images, they share kudos to each other, they share, I'm looking for one that might, here we go, here they share resources. So it's a great way to get into a larger conversation than you might find with the person down the hall, or even in a staff meeting.
And what I like too, I was just at a small rural school conference in Ohio on Friday. When you're actually attending the conference or like that, you can end up, because you're there, you know that other people are interested in the same thing, so you can end up following them and getting connected on a virtual basis before you can't possibly meet, 500 people at a big conference, but because of Twitter, you can get connected, and you never know where those relationships might lead later on.
That's absolutely right. And that kind of leads me to well, first of all, maybe we should, do we have any questions in just what is Twitter?
I haven't gotten any questions in the chat bar, but certainly everybody, you're muted. But just make sure if you do have questions, just use that little conversation bubble, and Kay will break in and answer any and all questions that you have.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So as I said before in my introduction, I mean, technology is great. And I always want to answer the why. Why should we be using, oh, that's a great question. Is there best practice for developing hashtags? Best practice before, when Twitter was still 140 characters, best practice was to keep it short and sweet. We don't need to do that. We have 240 characters now. So best practice is one that, first of all, doesn't connect to someone else. So you want to make sure that it's unique, and one that's easy to remember so that people can refer back to, like school PR. One of our good friends, and it's a mutual good friend, so the school district down the road here, they are the Crickets. And so Go Crickets is not only unique, it is catchy. And it's become quite the humorous talking point that directs, where does it go? It goes directly back to that school district. So, I mean, we have people around the nation talking about, you know, okay, here's my cricket gear and stuff like that, but it's a hashtag that gets people talking. So it may have your mascot as part of it. It might be the abbreviation for your school district if you've got a longer school district. I think one that is just the best practice is one that's unique and easily identifiable so that they can always connect it back to your district. But that's a really great question.
And I do have a couple, I've got about 3 or 4 articles just about school hashtags, which it's viewer 26. We don't have a name with this person, but that I will share in the follow-up notes. Yeah, just like we said, the biggest issue that we see is that schools choose a hashtag that's not unique to them. Go Vikings. Well, that's by, you know, not only the Minnesota Vikings, which, you know, feel sorry for me. My husband's a Viking fan.
They did well this year.
Yeah, they did do well. You can't use something that's used by other people and then, like you said, invokes meaning. And so we've got a lot of examples in those. So we'll definitely share those tips and strategies out with the follow-up information.
That's another great question. Do you use those on other forms of social media? Absolutely. Stay consistent with your hashtag, and no matter where you meet your people, whatever social media community you meet your people in, it'll always go back to your hashtag. And I would even suggest having it on your district website too, because it's easily identifiable. But,
and yeah. It doesn't work. Hashtags don't work as well in Facebook as they do maybe in Instagram. Right. But it's like a branding thing. So the more you use your hashtag, the more you're saying to your community, we want you to be part of the story. We want you to be using this hashtag. And so they'll be more likely to use it. And so hashtag is, hey, we are active on social media, no matter what channel it's on. Come help tell our story, because like Kay said, if you would type in, and you certainly can right now, hashtag Go Crickets, you're going to see things that are happening in the classroom. You might see things students are sharing, parents are sharing, leadership, and then all the special people like me that have, a hashtag Go Crickets t-shirt because Joe gave it out. So that's what's powerful about that hashtag.
It does. It spreads. It spreads, and it is definitely a branding thing. And that would be one reason to use Twitter. I would say, one purposeful reason is that hashtags are used very highly and really effectively, I think, in Twitter. That's kind of where they started. I missed the last question. Come in.
Yep. The next question is, how do I find conversations like hashtags on a specific topic that I could join?
Oh, that's a great question, and I'm going to cover that. It's getting into a chat, a specific Twitter chat, and it'll be a very, very central focused conversation. But I'll go through that with the how-to in the how part, if that's okay.
Yep.
All right. Why don't we answer the why? Why Twitter? And quite honestly, I sound like a 3-year-old sometimes when people bring like, hey, Kay, did you try this new tech tool? And I'm going to use this with kids. And my question is, why? Why? To what end? And the whys for Twitter, to me, it really boils down to everything is in these five things. Build your PLN. What's a PLN? That's your professional learning network. You could use it as a personal learning network as well. I think the main purpose for Twitter is to foster interaction. It's to get people chatting. It's to get followers. It's to find followers. If you read a tweet that's really interesting to you, you can engage that source of the tweet. You can either disagree with them, like, hey, we've seen a lot of that happening these days with people disagreeing what's over on what's been tweeted out. But then they might share a tweet with your followers if you're like, wow, this is so fantastic. I think my followers would benefit from this. So you become a part of a much larger network. And I can honestly say, and this is without a doubt, I have met more educators and mentors through Twitter than I have any other method of social media interaction. And the beautiful thing about this interaction is that when the opportunity finally arises to meet these people face to face, it's as if the groundwork for growing a true professional relationship or a connection, it's already been established. You basically become like fangirls, in my case, of other people, and you walk through at a conference going, oh my gosh, Andrea, we finally get to meet face to face and hug and all of that stuff. One of the things that I will tell you, case in point, is perhaps if you are in the realm of literacy, you may know the name of Pernille Ripp. She is a middle school teacher here in Wisconsin, but she is an internationally known speaker, keynote, author, and of course, because of that, I started following her on Twitter. And throughout the course of a couple of years, we connected on Google Hangouts to meet and plan what's called an Ed Camp, and we planned that in our state's capital of Madison, Wisconsin, and that was years ago. And we finally got to meet at a literacy conference, and today I can say we are very close friends. I'm not sure that would have happened. I probably would have still been in, idol worship with her, on Twitter because of her blog and all of that good stuff, but that's what can happen. Does it always? No, but it lays that groundwork for those professional relationships to grow into quite personal connections, which is really, really just outstandingly powerful in my estimation. What it also does is it gives you street cred, and in this case, social media credibility, and it allows you to say, hey, I know what I'm doing. My skill set is this, and I know what I'm doing in my craft. And when you create and share things, whether it's at a conference, whether it's something someone else had shared, or you tell your school story, you're building your social capital. You think about that. I know that social media isn't necessarily about the followers and the likes and all of that stuff, but it kind of is. Because if you start growing that network, you've got more people who are going to see what you have created and shared, and that gives you credibility. You grow your followers, and eventually you grow into an expert of sorts, and that's just honest. And as part of that credibility, it comes to your opportunity to learn from others. I've had folks that I've completely agreed with, and then even during a Twitter chat of some sort, someone would say something, or of course it's type something, and in my head I'm like, oh no, I don't agree with this. And then after some conversation, I realize, and after I leave the chat, I just had this person push my thinking, and that's growth right there. So I think right there is, just the impetus. It's why I hang out on Twitter so much, because I do need to be challenged, and I need to grow my mindset sometimes. We touched on being able to attend, and I put air quotes around it, attend conferences, even the ones you can't go to. While you're there, it seems like all the Twitter heads are tweeting about something, and it's really great to, if you miss a session, you can go on Twitter and see that somebody else might have been at the session that you were at, and they share those resources. Yay, bonus, I just attended 2 sessions at one time. You get links to resources, you can find images, you can find inspirational quotes, and again, you find people to connect with that are like-minded in your same same realm of thinking. We all have different realms of thinking in education.
Yeah, and one thing is at school sometimes we can feel pretty isolated. We have this. Especially, again, I'm from a super small school, right? So we have one speech language pathologist, right? We have one guidance counselor. We have one science teacher. They don't have other colleagues in their same district they can connect with. But because of Twitter, hashtag science or hashtag, HS biology, or, you can check out a lot of different hashtags. All are completely opened up to connecting to those people, and resources and ideas and for free. Like it's free. And so that's really powerful.
It is. It is. The only investment that you make is your time. And we know that that's a four-letter word that starts with a T, and it's a hot commodity, but it is, in my estimation, time well spent. And when we talk about time, another reason for Twitter is that it's professional development, or if you don't use the term PD, PL, the professional learning. It's 24/7 access at your fingertips. You get into I will tell you right now, I'm on Twitter more during conference season than I am, let's say, in the middle of July, when all I want to do is go to the Northwoods and catch fish. I'm really not on Twitter. My husband is, however, because he's an avid fisherman and that's what he does on Twitter. But we're just active, but that's a choice we make. If I am in the middle of a lake fishing and it's July and there's a conference, guess where I can go to attend that conference? Twitter. When I'm relaxing after a great day of fishing. But all you have to do is search for your topic. All you have to do is search for your topic. If you know the hashtags, and we'll share probably a rather lengthy and comprehensive list of educational hashtags, but you can sift through that and search for that hashtag to join, to see what happens with the chats. And I think it just allows you to join a Twitter chat or not. And I will explain a little bit about lurking is learning. Twitter chats can be a little intimidating when you first start out, but go on there, see what they're chatting about, see what they're talking about, and then eventually your comfort level is going to rise, and that confidence where you're going to chime in and say, hey, I've got this idea, and then voila, your idea is brilliant, and all of a sudden you get notifications that people are following you. So on a personal note, I cannot count the number of fellow educators I have met from across the world, around the world, and it has just built my learning network and has opened doors of opportunities for furthering my career as well. So it isn't all because of Twitter. You do have to do a little bit of groundwork, but it is a big, huge factor in creating those connections. Yeah,
one really quick side note is, like, my new BFF is Kristen Majette, and she is from Eudora, Kansas, and she wrote the book on embracing social media. And the way I met her was I got her book and a picture of it, and I don't know where I was reading it, somewhere. And within, 10 minutes, reading back, hey, that's awesome, and hopefully we can meet IRL, which even at that point I didn't know what that meant in real life, but now I've learned some of those acronyms. But that's the power, just like your connection that you made. So that's awesome.
It is. It is. Do you have any other questions about the why? About why Twitter? I hope I did a good job of sales pitching it, because it's just.
Yeah, we don't have anything else coming in. I think you did an awesome job of covering that. Now when you say, how do I get started, I just want to make an announcement. While we've been on here, Peace Lutheran of Pigeon Falls gave out their first tweet, tagging both you and I. And so that's really cool.
Oh, that is awesome. And hello, Peace Lutheran. They're 10 miles from my house.
Oh, awesome.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. It's a great way to grow those connections across the board. Across the board. So let's get started. If you are not in the Twitterverse, you can start out with going to twitter.com. And I will tell you that it will, as you do this, you can do this as I kind of share some notes that I wanted to share. It will walk you through the entire process. It's getting a Twitter account today is so much easier to navigate than it was whenever I started. I think it says July or some month of 2011. That's when I was still the egg. I had an account, but I was still the egg. So Twitter will walk you through the whole process. Choose a memorable handle. Now, remember, there are a lot of Jane Johnsons out there, especially in my neck of the woods, because we are highly Scandinavian, and so a lot of SONs at the end of our names. And but what you might want to do, and this I have seen through my experiences with being on Twitter, before people were identifying their Twitter handle with maybe what they did in education. So way back when I started in 2011, I was middle level ed. That was my Twitter handle because what did I do? I taught those wonderful 8th graders in English. They loved it. Their favorite class, I guarantee you. And if I have any former students on the call today, it was your favorite class. Just nod your head. But throughout the course of my career, I changed. I shifted gears. And now what we're seeing as best practice is be who you are on Twitter. So I changed it to, at Kay Henriksen. And I see a lot of that because some of our principals have gone on to be superintendents. Some of our superintendents have retired and have since gone on to be consultants. And when you're recognizable, then it's your name. And when you crack that egg, then they put a name to a face. And it's really one of those, it's been fun to see the shift in that. It is your professional identity. It could be your personal identity too, which it is in my case. I use it for both personal and professional, but mostly to tell stories and share educational resources. Be sure to crack that egg. Get a real profile picture. One of my girlfriends has a profile picture of her feet in sandals. And while it's a beautiful picture of her feet in sandals, I would be hard-pressed to find her in a crowd on a summer day. So have a profile picture that is you, where if somebody sees you in a crowd, they're like, what is that? Yes, it is. And then you can have a fan moment with each other. You can use a photo of yourself. You could use a mascot logo. Be careful with copyright. I would just, be cognizant of that. Something that's going to help others connect and follow you. Andrea, do you have any advice on profile pics? Because you do a lot with that on Facebook as well.
Yeah, well, just for your school district, I usually recommend it's either your logo or, so sometimes that's your mascot in smaller schools. Sometimes it's a different kind of emblem logo for your school district. But if it's your personal one, you, like Kay said, use your picture because sometimes people use like the logo of their school. And so that's confusing. And then the other thing that some people are confusing is there's a name on your Twitter page and then there's a handle. And some people, links from your school's page, let's say it's your middle school Twitter page. Well, the @ is the high school principal's name, right? So it's George Johnson or whatever. But then the description on the Twitter page is, New Auburn Middle School. Well, that doesn't match, right? Because one is a name and one is a district. So we love to have, with schools, we love to have a lot of Twitter, people on Twitter sharing your stories. When you use your school hashtag, it brings them all together. But make sure there's a connection between the person and the description. If you do have somebody that is totally tweeting just on behalf of the middle school, then I would recommend that the Twitter handle says New Auburn MS or something like that, New Auburn Middle School, and then the name of the account is New Auburn Middle School. So I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, consistency to avoid the confusion. Yeah, and on that note, if you have a personal Twitter account and you plan to use your Twitter account solely for school, I would consider creating one with your school email. It's really, I think that's with any social media, really separate personal and professional. I think that's really important to note. For me, I use my personal email because my Twitter is wholeheartedly professional, but it's all connected to me personally. I use other social media for personal connections and crockpot recipes, let's face it. But so I think they're to get the purpose for what you want this account for.
And I know some educators, they'll use Facebook for personal connections, Twitter for the professional ones. I know some people have multiple Twitter accounts, and it makes it very easy to do that. But you think about being overwhelmed, and sometimes that could make you overwhelmed, right?
Yeah.
Just think about that. I mean, obviously, if you have a Twitter account for your school that's separate from a personal account, that makes sense. If you all of a sudden, have 3 different Twitter accounts based on, your fantasy football league, all that stuff, and then your professional stuff, and then your personal stuff, it can just get a little overwhelming. So sometimes just having that separation is good.
Yep. And I think, one of the reasons, and I'll just share my reasons, that I use my personal email for my professional Twitter account. It's in case I migrate to a different position, I'm going to lose that school account, that school Gmail email account, depending on what you use for your email. I don't want to lose all of those professional connections that I've made. So I just made a conscious decision that even though my Twitter account is hooked to my personal email account, it is all professional stuff on there.
Awesome. We did come in, Kay, that our Twitter hashtags case sensitive.
No, that's a great question. No, they're not. And that's a beautiful thing, because if they were, I think we'd miss out on a lot of connection. So yeah, no, they're not. And that's a great question to be brought up.
We sometimes use cap in some of our school hashtags to make them more readable, but not make them function any different if you have them all lowercase, all uppercase, or a variety of the two. It's just no spaces, no hyphens, no symbols. And what about numbers? Can you use numbers in hashtags? Yeah.
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah, because I have hashtag social school for EDU, so I've got the number 4. So letters or numbers, caps don't matter.
Yep, absolutely. I think when you're setting up your account, your bio is just as important as cracking the egg, and your space is limited, so include words that allows others to find you. And it might be education, it might be teacher, it might be music, it might be high school. You can include your most identifiable hashtags, the ones that maybe give your followers direction, oh, I'll find her in OER chat, or I'll find her in STEM chat, or something like that. It helps people find you, but the space is limited. So only use words that will encourage connection. One thing that I have noticed, and it isn't as prevalent as it was before, but some people do put in their bio, tweets are my own. That way, that's your tweeting, and it doesn't come back on, it doesn't necessarily represent the views of your school. They very well could and probably should if you're being out on social media out there in public, but that some people do put that in their bio. I've seen that. The next thing you want to do is you want to find your people, and Twitter will give you categories, and it will give you some suggestions. And like most social media algorithms, Twitter is smart, and it will find like-minded people. So if you threw in education, you're going to find a whole bunch of people, probably Andrea, probably me. It's really, really up to you as far as what you want to search. And I would also use some of the hashtags that we will share to do a search, because you might find a name popping up on there all the time, and that is a person who's constantly contributing to that particular topic. So if you're really looking for experts on STEM, for example, there might be some people on there that are constantly contributing ideas and resources for that. You might want to follow that person. So I saw a few questions pop in on the side there. Andrea, what do we have?
We have, my handle is my first name and lots of numbers, developed back in the egg days when I was unfamiliar. Is this bad? Can someone still find me by my first and last name if it is in my profile?
That's a really good question. When they do a search for you, it's only going to search whether or not your name was used in a tweet or whether or not your name is a profile. So in your settings, you can change that if you want, and all that will do, you won't lose any of your followers, but all that will do is it will just change what it looks like. Instead of mine being middle level ed, I didn't lose any of my followers. It just changed it to my name. So you can change that if you want to, but they may not be able to find you if your name isn't out there.
Yeah, and I just searched because it's Peter Wright. So Peter, I searched for you just to see if what came up. And so there's a lot of Peter Wrights, and so using numbers is probably good. But if you do have your first and last name in your handle, it gives you the best opportunity. Because making it easy to tag you is important too. Like, my Twitter name is Andrea Gribble. Yours is Kay Henriksen. Do you have a letter? Or?
Nope. But a lot of people might not have the E at the end of my first name, and they might have a D in my last name. So I thought that this was just put it out there. And when you put Kaye, I show up.
Yeah.
As an option.
So hopefully that answers, Peter. But yes, you can change your Twitter handle at any time. Anybody that's already following you will still be following you. But going forward, you'd want to reference people to that Twitter handle. Another account is, as a Twitter account for a campus, do you follow back all of your followers?
Ooh, that's a really good question.
We don't necessarily follow everybody else just because you can't be responsible for what other people are tweeting out, and
right.
You can click on your list and see who you're following. So we've usually, for our schools, we have a limited amount of people that we're following, maybe other teachers that are using it. And obviously hashtag use is always important, but we don't place a lot of emphasis on following every follower of our page.
Good advice. Yeah.
Yeah. And viewer 62 says, so you said your Twitter account is connected to your personal email. How do you recommend handling this for a school account that has multiple people that may tweet from it? Maybe I can answer that.
Yeah, I think that might be a better one for you, Andrea.
Yeah, we always set up a social media at myschool.com email address for the school we serve, so that it's a general email address that multiple people can get access to if they need to, because we know people go on vacation, we know people leave, and we use that email address actually for all of our school teachers and staff members to submit content to.
Mm-hmm.
We would probably recommend creating some kind of a general email address that's socialmedia@yourschool.com, and then those people would, you still access Twitter through a username and password, and multiple people can be logged into that. So, but I would stick it to a generic email address.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I would too, because then you can give people access to it and decline access to it as they leave districts. That's a great answer.
Yes. Awesome. And we're at I got 11:48, so I don't know how much more we got to go through with this, so that you know.
Okay.
7 minutes if we can.
You bet. What we will do, as Andrea had said, we will share these resources out. But what I wanted to do was just touch on this one in particular. This is the list of Twitter chats that are available, education Twitter chats. And this is the calendar. And it is in EST, so it's Eastern Time, but you can see it in your own standard time that you want. But here's the official chat list, and this is going to be inundating, so don't be scared. But it does, if you want to talk to Aussie educators, you can hang on to that one. But it gives you what the different dual language chat, if you're a dual language teacher. It might be in Wyoming. We have a WIS chat in Wisconsin that's on Sunday nights. There might be STEM HQ. I mean, there you could scroll through this and find ones that match you. MS Math Chat, that's for middle school math. So there are just hundreds of lists of chats, and it tells you when they are, and then of course the calendar will tell you when they are as well, according to your time zone. And just a couple of the other resources, I thought, getting the most out of Twitter, that's important. Like, how can I get the most out of this without being overwhelmed? And then these are one of the resources is from Andrea, the 7 steps to Twitter, and it kind of outlines what we verbally talked about, but it's easy to see and follow in a PDF. And then a couple of my favorite people, or one of my favorite people, Kathy Schrock, has a ton of educator resources, and one of them is Twitter for Teachers, and it reiterates what we had said here. But those are the basics of getting started, and I think the biggest thing is just get started and tiptoe if you must, jump in if you want to, but know that there's just this whole community out there in the Twitterverse that wants to support you and help you grow your professional learning community. So at any time you can connect with me. I'm on Twitter and I'm on Instagram. I'm also on Facebook, and there's my email if you want to connect with me for anything further. But that is pretty much Twitter 101, just getting started.
Can you take the time to go to your Twitter page and just walk somebody through a Twitter chat? Just the basics of participating in a Twitter chat. So we gave a lot of examples of Twitter chats that are out there for yours, but I think it is overwhelming because you're like, oh my gosh, and the first time you go to a Twitter chat, just listen, like just watch it. But I think there's some basics, and the last time I was with somebody, with a group of teachers, we actually practiced once, and we just made up a chat. But if you could walk through that, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, so this one is one that, like I said, it's Sunday nights, it's WisChat, it's for educators in Wisconsin, and we hang out, and and anyone else who wants to hang out and talk to Wisconsin teachers are more than welcome. But here we're sharing ideas. This one I can tell it hasn't had a chat for a while. I'm going to scroll down, and sorry if this gets you whiplash, but typically what a Twitter, I'm going to try something else.
You could Sat Chat.
Sat Chat is a real active one. What they do is they follow a Q and A format. So when the Sat Chat takes place, someone will be moderating it. So usually there are one or two people on their computers monitoring the Twitter chat, and they start out with questions, and it'll be Q1, and of course this one must not have been meeting here.
Well, it's just so many people use this chat even when the chat's not happening, because these are all like 2 hours ago.
Yes. Yep. So it must be somebody.
And it's not Saturday. Try hashtag K12PR chat. Okay. That's recommend to everybody. That happens every other Tuesday. And they do a pretty good job. And, there's going to be some stuff that's mentioned here, but we should be able to scroll back just a little bit to get some of those Q&As.
Yeah. There's Sandra. When you have a chat, someone will put a Q with a 1, typically. And at the beginning of the chat, they'll say, welcome everyone, welcome to K12PR chat, and we're going to get started in a couple of minutes, and then the moderator will start out with Q1, and it'll be a question. Now, some of the moderators have gotten pretty savvy, and they're using images they'll put the question up, and then they'll just post the image. But one of the questions might be, I'm kind of striking out here, aren't they?
No, well, and it's going to be there, but it's just the matter of getting there.
Yeah, and I'm going really, really, really fast through this too, just to find a cue. This is the chat, but they'll put a question out there, and here's a response where A7. I don't know what the Q7 was, but I've had to brush myself off, get a good night's sleep, and remember the next day I get to try again. Probably some type of self-care, I'm guessing. Yeah. So it follows a Q and an A format, and the moderator will put the Q out, put the question out, and I'm guessing that this one must have been, what do you do for self-care in, hectic educational times? And this person, you respond with, you tweet with A7, you're responding to that particular question, and then you put some things, you write your answer down, and then you use the hashtag, because then it ends up in this feed. So you're able to actually see a conversation. Here's Q6. When they're working on big projects, I tell my mama, for real.
So I think that must have been, she was answering question 6, but sometimes the biggest thing is that you continue to use the hashtag, which I have totally done, where I've tweeted something and like, oh crap, I forgot to use the hashtag. So making sure that you do that, because then it'll all show up in that latest section of your Twitter. So.
Right. Absolutely.
Awesome.
So that's what a chat looks like. And again, don't be intimidated. Go in, put a chat in the window, and lurk if you need to. Lurk if you need to, and then when you feel comfortable about contributing to the conversation, dive right in.
Yes. We're going to get you all of Kay's information. I'm going to steal back presenter role. We're still going to take questions. So if everybody can, if you've got more questions, jot those in. And Kay, I'm going to try to make sure that I unmute you. Hang on. I want you to still be able to talk. If I can find you on the list, there you are. Well, it's not letting me do that. So I'm going to go through here, and then I can give you access back when we answer more questions. I just wanted to close. This was incredible. We love giving free content. We have one event that happens every year that is a paid event, and that's our social media summer camp. We did our first annual one last year. We had over 100 attendees from across North America. Kayla kind of provided it's equal to that of a high, of an expensive conference, but you can do it from your own home or from the beach or from, the camper, like Kay would. I'm going to have a little video testimonial later, but we've got a great lineup of speakers. We actually have 6 different speakers on 6 different topics. Greg Turchetta is the hashtag tweeter master. His energy will take you through the roof. He is going to talk about how he's really built socially savvy tweeters in his huge district down in Florida. So he's speaking on day 1. Jake Sturgis is the owner, and he worked inside schools. He's going to talk about video storytelling, 10 tips for social media. Then Heidi Feller, who is our CIO, she's covering their journey from zero, absolutely no social media, to really killing it. They are doing an awesome job in Reedsburg, Wisconsin, so she's going to share that whole journey. Brian Woodland, a lot of these are NSPRA award-winning people, award-winning strategies and school PR initiatives. But Brian is now on his own, and he is going to be talking about inclusion with social media, which is so important. We need to tell our story, our school story, including all of our students. And so he's going to be covering that on day 2. Justin Albert is from Klein. You want to talk about a cool hashtag promise to purpose. But he is really going to be covering that and missing manpower, like working smart and not hard. How do you make social media a little bit more manageable? And then I'll be wrapping up things on day 2 with what works in 2018. We have access, luckily, to over 50 schools' metrics. I'm going to break down all of the background stuff of what we've learned with all these changes and how you can use those, to apply to your school. again, Alicia had some great feedback as far as really inspiring and how to better involve your administration. Because sometimes you can feel like you're on an island, but a lot of what we cover is just really in an effort to get everybody involved. Again, your camp does include 6 topics, 6 speakers, live Q&A, printable workbook, and this is the really cool thing, lifetime access to the recording and slides, plus authority to share those recordings with your entire school or your school district. All for one low price. You can share that throughout. And so we had a lot of those being done last year where it's like, oh, this was really valuable. It's for teachers, it's for superintendents, it's for principals, anybody involved in social media for your school, coaches, communicators, all that. You can register. I'll give you a sign-up link in the follow-up to this. It's $197, but we have an early bird pricing. It's only $147 if you register by April 15th. So we've got a little bit of time here, but it's easy to register right online. You pay with your credit card or PayPal. You can email me if you need to pay with a check because of your school. So there is a form on there, and I can help get a check request basically to you so that you can pay that way. We want to make it easy. First 5 people that sign up today receive a free assessment call, kind of a consultation, maybe direct Q&A of what you're working on. And if we get 40 people by this Friday to sign up, we're actually going to draw one winner to get some of these free signs made for your school, which establishes your hashtag right from the moment they walk in the school and your other social media channels. So we're going to be giving that away if we get up to 40 people because I'm turning 40, so 40 is the lucky number. By Friday, we'll be drawing one lucky winner to get those, and that's up to $100 value. So that is really valuable stuff for your school and cool. So again, that's where you go to register. If you register by April 15th, it's only $147, which is very, very valuable. And I am going to pass presenter role right now back to Kay because otherwise I can't hear you, Kay, and that way you're going to be able to join. We've got one question up now. So can you hear me now, Kay?
What's that?
Okay, I can hear you now, so that's the good thing.
Great.
We have had some, this is a question. We've had some inappropriate accounts, like our school account, inappropriate accounts like your school account. I block them, but they still show up as followers. Is there a way to delete followers?
I think you blocked them, that was one step, but I do believe that if you feel it's inappropriate, you can report it. I think you have 2 options there. You can block them and you can report them, and by reporting them, they'll likely, if enough people report them, then they get their account disabled. And so I think by doing both of those, that removes them from your follower list, I think. I'm not quite sure. I know that it does in other social media.
Yeah, and I know sometimes you can't control, or they'll tag your district in an inappropriate post. There are a lot of security settings, and obviously this was Twitter 101. We could do 102, 103, 104, all up to 199. But play around in those security settings too, because sometimes you can prevent people. Although with your school, you don't necessarily want to prevent people from tagging your district because that helps tell your story. Remembering that 99.9% of the use of the social media in your handle is going to be positive, but
right.
Is an opportunity for negative. So we got to drown that out with all the positive.
Right.
And then viewer 66 is asking, how do you establish a hashtag?
I think that's definitely something that you'd want to talk over with like your administration or the person who's going to be running your social media. Talk that over so that it's consistent across the board. And once you establish it, I would plaster it everywhere. Plaster it everywhere. Anytime you tell a story about something cool that your kids are doing, use this hashtag. You're basically setting up a naming convention, and that is, I would set it up and then stick faithful to that hashtag so that it never switches. But yeah.
And I would check it out. You just go into your Twitter bar and you put a hashtag in and you can see if people are using it. If they haven't used it since 2015, that hashtag is open for business and you can start using it.
Yep.
Recommendation that I want to make that some people, I think some schools make a mistake of is they have a different hashtag for everything. They have a different hashtag for their sports. They have a different hashtag for their different schools. They have a, and depending on the size of your district, okay, some of those things may make sense. But if you're trying, too many hashtags is overwhelming. And if a person in your community needs to think, what hashtag should I use for this one? We're defeating the purpose. We want one strong district hashtag. In a really big school, maybe you want one strong school hashtag, but you don't want so many hashtags that people have to scratch their head and think.
Right.
So,
Great.
Okay, and they get it. Thank you.
Great question.
Lots of thank yous. Any last questions? I know we're running a little over. Lots of good stuff to catch up on. Last minute questions can come in. Kay, any other parting words?
No, other than thank you for the opportunity to kind of share my passion, addiction to Twitter and all of the power that it can bring you. And happy birthday, Miss Andrea.
Yay, thank you very much. I won't make you sing. I think the biggest thing is now you've got a little bit of a start, but through Twitter or even through email, you can get access directly to Kay if you've got additional questions.
Right.
The great thing too is a lot of times helping you guys out is just a matter of, oh my gosh, here's this article, or here's this website, or there's like this recording version. And what we really want to urge you is some of you probably are a little savvy on Twitter, but you've got teachers that maybe want to get there. Giving them either this recording or access to some of the things that we gave you will help them feel confident.
Right.
So awesome. I don't have any other questions coming in. So we're going to you guys have an awesome week. Stay tuned to your email and you will get access to the recording and everything else that Kay talked about, in addition to an opportunity to sign up for our summer camp. So we will see you guys.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Do you want to take it back, Andrea?
I will.